So the next pose after Shirshasana is Viparita Dandasana, inverted staff pose. Now we're doing the supported version with props, and if you will need props for this. Now the question is, what kind of props can you use? I am going to show you a couple of options. Ideally, if you have two bolsters, that's the easiest, but there are ways to go around this. Of course, if you have a yoga chair, you can also use that, but I'm going with the assumption that most people don't have a yoga chair at home or a Viparita Dandasana bench. Yes, there is such a thing at home. So we're gonna do it with what we have at home. So in my case, I have two bolsters, so I'm first going to show you that option, and then I'm going to show you how to do if you have one bolster but not two, and then if you don't have bolsters but you have, let's say, blankets. I'm pretty sure everyone has blankets at home. You can take the blankets from your bed if it comes to that. So let's see how we do this. So in this case, I have crossed the bolsters. So I have the lower bolster that is perpendicular to the mat, and the other bolster on top that is in the length of the mat. I'm going to sit on the edge of the bolster with my hands behind me, and then I am going to tuck under and then slowly slide down until my head is on the floor, like this. Then I can extend my arms overhead and extend my legs. So you can see here the position of the head is with the crown of the head onto the floor, as if you were in headstand, which is just did the pose before. So here you want to extend as much as possible, so keep the legs straight, and then I am going to show you what to do. So to come out, you're going to bend your legs as you just did, and you can either slide down that way, bend your knees, roll to the side, or possibly you can also just directly roll to the side. Now, if you don't have two bolsters, but you have only one, your bolster is going to stay on top. What you're going to replace is the bolster, this bolster that was now under. So if you have a block or two blocks, you can use the block, or the two blocks that way. So you can see the idea is still that there is some height under the center of the bolster. And once again, sit on the edge, lie back, let the head rest onto the floor, extend the legs, hold onto the arms. So you can see the difference is that there's less height compared to the bolster that I had earlier, because this other bolster was way higher than the one block. But if you had two blocks, you can remedy that. Now if you don't have a block, you can also use two folded blankets, like so. So I'm using the two folded blankets on top of each other, and same thing, the bolster on top. You know the gist by now. Sit on the edge, lie back, straighten the legs, hold onto the arms. Now, what if you don't even have one bolster? Well, there are many options, and you can combine based on what I've already showed you. But if you have blankets, then you're fine. Because if you have blankets, what you can do is fold them in the length so here if I have my one blanket and then just folding it once, and I have two of those here, and I can just use this as a bolster replacement. So once again, compared to this huge bolster, thick bolster that I have, it's not going to give you the same height. So it's not going to get you in as deep of a pose. But, you know, do with what you have. So if you have blankets and you don't have bolster, then do that. Now, as you can see here, I'm using basically 4 blankets. You might also not have 4 blankets, but maybe you have 2 blankets and block, so then you can use the block to replace the lower blankets. If you don't have that, if you don't have a block for this specific pose, well, you might be able to use large books. So if you have a couple of very thick books, which are about the same dimension of a block, then you might be able to pile them and use those under your 2 blankets. So that's it. That's Viparita Dandasana at home with whatever you have to use as props.